And welcome back to another Star Wars Galaxy of Heroes video, everybody. Today we are going to be talking a little bit about Team Tactics, formerly known as Teams That Slap. This is basically a video where we break down the dynamics and all of the tactics involved in a specific comp of characters. Today we're going to be looking at Bad Batch, one of my absolute favorite teams out there, guys. With that being said, let's get into it. All right, so first and foremost, like I said, everybody, we're going to be looking at Bad Batch here. One of the things I love about this team is that it is a team that is driven by mechanics. It's all built into the kit. So as long as you have the characters, as long as you have the kit, it's going to be a really effective team, no matter what the gear levels might be. You can see actually currently on mine are mostly at low relics, if not even there. And this is actually, at the time of this recording, a little bit different than what you're going to see on the footage. For example, I just recently took these guys up into the relic category, but the video footage you're going to see is from them all being, minus Echo, all being at gear 12. This is an amazingly effective comp at low relic levels. So if you are a player, sort of like me, that is kind of in that mid-range, and you're looking to really maximize some of those B-tier teams, this is one of them, guys. You can mod them really well. You can get the kit up and running, and they're going to demolish some amazingly well-reliced teams, and modded teams for that matter, when you get into it and really get them really effective. So we're going to take a look here today, guys, at the specifics of each character, the general idea of how you want to mod them, and then more importantly, the turn meter mechanics, the turn order mechanics in particular, is what's really important with this team. So first and foremost, let's go ahead and take a look at number one, Echo. Far and away the most important character in this team in terms of modding. Number one, first and foremost, you need speed. You guys can check out our Need for Speed video where we talk about characters that really need speed. He's up there, guys. It is without a doubt the number one most important character to focus on in terms of mods. He needs all of it. You can see I have him at Relic 3. I just took him up there to give him a little bit more survivability. He can't work at Relic 1, though. You do absolutely want him into Relics, though. Gear 12 for him, the big reason you want him at Relics is because of that speed. If he's only at Gear 12, you're probably going to be missing out on some of the speed. Get him at Relic 1, boom, he's got a ton of it. Specifically, my Echo, and my Echo's modded pretty well. Is it one of the best in the game? No. But it's a pretty solid in terms of speed modding here. We've got 363 speed on my Echo. He's going to outrun pretty much every single Jedi Knight Anakin that is out there in the game, guys. I have yet to run into a situation where he is not faster than the opposing Jedi Knight Anakin. And he's really the biggest problem you have in terms of speed. Other than that, you might run into an issue with a mirror match where you've got to be faster. That's actually the biggest issue typically where I'll run into a problem, is if for some reason we're trying to mirror match and the opposing Echo is faster than mine. But that's pretty rare because you'll see in a moment, it's not just Echo that's important in terms of speed. But Echo, super duper important with his speed. When you face teams that have a lot of buffs already, that's also very important. The reason for that is leading to our second most important character in terms of speed and turn order is Tech. So you can see my Tech is at Relic 1. He actually was only at Gear 12 when we recorded some of this footage today, guys. But I will say he did have everything but the finisher piece on him. So he again, you want speed on him as best you can. Not nearly as important as it is on Echo, but still a matter of emphasis is what we'll say. So first and foremost, you can see he's at 293 speed, plus 133 total. Could he be better? Yeah, I would say ideally I'd have him up closer to 300, but that's just the best that I've got for him without taking away too much from other characters. Generally speaking, I should also mention, guys, so speed obviously is very, very important for Echo and Tech. You'll notice that for Tech, I do not have a speed set on him. For me, I could get more out of him by not using a speed set and getting really good secondaries versus using, you know, my speed set and not having as good as secondaries. So for him, the speed set's not as essential, but it doesn't hurt. If you've got the mods and you know, they're there and they're not being used elsewhere, yeah, throw a speed set on them. But otherwise, you can just go with health. Potency for both of these characters is very important because you want to land those debuffs, everybody. So another little side note for that in terms of modding, you definitely want to get those debuffs out there, so keep their potency up nice and high. Now, next up in the list, you really want Wrecker to be the next fastest. So it's amazing the difference it made, folks, when I went from Wrecker being the next person in the turn order versus when I originally had Hunter next up in the turn order. To be clear, I was not modding them to be at their most efficient self. That's why I was still kind of working on the team, still trying to figure out, how to best use them, that kind of thing. I actually had Hunter going third, and we would lose to quite a few of the teams that you're going to see today because we just didn't quite have that extra punch that we needed. It's amazing, though, when you get your Wrecker to go third, how much more effective this team can be. The big reason for this, folks, is the defense up. When you get defense up, suddenly that true damage starts getting unleashed. The basic idea of this here, guys, is you want to use your Wrecking Ball here. You want to get the stuns out. In case you didn't land a stun for any reason on your opposing team, you do want to get those stuns out there if at all possible. The other big thing is, as we said, you get defense up for your allies. When you get defense out for your allies, they suddenly start doing true damage for everything they do. It's amazing. So idea here again, you get your dazes out with Echo first. You remove all of the buffs. You get the stuns out with Tech because he goes second and gains all that bonus turn meter for all the buffs that were removed. Wrecker goes third, stuns anybody that you might have missed the first go, and then also gives you defense up so that you've got all this true damage coming in. And then Hunter is your next one, ideally, because he can now flip-flop turn meter. And he's doing true damage when he does that. He flip-flops that turn meter. He's giving it back to Echo. Echo's then calling Hunter back. And just you start getting these massive assists that start happening, this massive amount of true damage that keeps happening. And you just totally lock down the opposing team. Or you just start doing mad amounts of true damage to them and slowly whittle them down over time. You'll kind of get the idea of this as we get into our comps that we've got here for video footage today, guys. Last but not least, Omega. She's not required. You can see she's my last one that I'm bringing up to relic levels. I arguably could keep her at gear 12. I am going to bring her up to relic levels simply because of Datacrons. So that way I can run Datacrons on this team if I need to. But outside of that, she could either be A, completely gone from the team, or B, just at low levels if you wanted to. The big bonus of having her in the team is that you get a pre-taunt from Wrecker. So in the event that you are facing a team that is faster than you at least have that pre-taunt going for you. That can help a little bit in certain circumstances, which we'll go over here a little bit in a moment. So that is the basic gist of, again, turn meter, guys, in terms of how you want the team to go. Just some other general things in terms of modding. Hunter, again, he's putting out a lot of true damage. So offense is probably ideal for him. I do have crit damage, crit chance on here, mostly because my offense sets are better placed elsewhere. He's not some massive damage dealer like Slicker. Slicker, you obviously want way more offense on. Cam, things like that. So for me, he's just got kind of the best offense secondaries that I could do with the crit damage and crit chance ups. But definitely you want to get as much offense on him as possible. We talked about Echo, potency, Tech, potency. If you can get some tenacity on both of them, that doesn't hurt either. Wrecker, you want them thick. Thick, 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 thick. In addition to that turn order placement. You want them going third, guys. And then Omega, same idea. Offense, she's very much, pretty much just like Tech, or I'm sorry, Hunter, where you want damage, you want offense, that kind of thing. For her, crit damage, I would argue, is more important than offense versus that of Wrecker. Or that of Hunter. I don't know why I keep saying Wrecker. Sorry, guys. Anyway, that's our general overview. What we're going to do next, guys, is we're going to go ahead and get into a little bit of what this team looks like in action so you guys can see just how effective these guys are against some different comps. First and foremost, we're going to be taking a look at an AdRad team here. So again, this footage is from a Gear 12 team, guys. Gear 12 team. This is Gear 12 across the board minus Echo. My Echo is Relic 3. Otherwise, they're all Gear 12. Let's get it rolling. We are currently facing off against a Radis team. This is all high relics, guys. They are Relic 5 minimum. Many of them are Relic 8 or higher. So you can see, first and foremost, they do get the initial hit off first. That's something I want to point out. You will face some teams, guys, that are faster than you. This is where having Omega does come into play. You've got that pre-taunt with Wrecker. So if, for instance, Radis here had done the mass assist, that mass assist is going on Wrecker. He's going to be able to eat that mass assist. If you don't have Omega in this team, that pre-taunt's not there. They could target Echo. Your Echo could bite the dust, especially if you're at lower gear levels. For instance, if they go after Hunter right off the bat, you're donezo. So that's something that's important to remember here, guys, that you sometimes do want Omega in here, and it will benefit you against certain teams like AdRad. Now, you notice we get our turn, we get Echo going, we get all of those dazes out. Because we're in GAC here, I want to point out real quick, there are still buffs on the board, everybody, okay? That's because of the Omicron that AdRad has here in GAC. When you remove buffs, you get all these extra bonus buffs. But we still have the days out there. They're not gaining any bonus turn meter. We're still going to kind of be able to keep them under control. Now, because of all those buffs that we did remove, remember, we still removed buffs. We now had a ton of turn meter go over to Tech. Tech is going to come in, do his second special, his third ability, and he's going to stun. Unfortunately, you can see here, this was not the best RNG here for us, which is great. We can kind of see a worst case scenario, if you will, and how it could still do really well. So he's going to put out this stun. He's only got one stun that landed, folks. That's not great. But because we have Wrecker modded to go next, to go third in the turn order here, he's going to get out. He's going to get those stuns up, and we land a lot more of those stuns. We're in a much better place now because of that. At this point, we start just flip-flopping turn meter, essentially. We go to Echo. We go back to Hunter. And at this point, it's literally just a whittle them down to death because they're stunned, they're dazed, they're going to really struggle to get out and get moving, and we're just going to continue doing a whole bunch of true damage to them. Like I said, bear in mind, guys, this is a Gear 12 mostly Bad Batch team against mostly a Relic 5 or above AdRad team. So this is a massive, massive, massive punch-up. At this point, I'm just figuring out who do I want to go here with this middle ability. Ended up going with Echo, which is the right call. Kind of keep yourself going. Heal up here, but when you're healing up, you're doing true damage to the team because of having defense up. And the whole time you're doing this, obviously you want to focus on AdRad, but sometimes you get the tanks. But because of this AoE damage, I forgot to mention that, guys. It's not just true damage on the one character you're targeting. It's true damage on every character in the team. So even if you're getting stuck behind taunts, you're still doing damage to these characters. I did get nervous. I'm not gonna lie. This was one of the first times that I tried taking a Gear 12 Bad Batch team up against a massively Relic Radis team like this, and I did not think we were gonna get through it. But as you can see, over time, you just keep slowly whittling away. You keep slowly doing that true damage. They're not able to do anything because you've got them either stunned or dazed, and you just slowly take them out. It's a thing of beauty. It is absolutely amazing how effective this team can be, even against some of the larger, way more powerful teams that are out there and that exist. So, there you have it. Full banners, too. 65. So, here's another example against another AdRad team, but this is a slightly different version. This is probably the less likely version for you to see that's out there. But this one is a little bit more difficult because of Baze. Baze can cleanse all of your buffs, and it's really important to just be careful of him. Luckily, we were able to get the daze out. We were able to land the stun, and you guys will see that this actually goes very, very quickly as a whole because we were able to land that stun. We're going to go ahead and push this just a little bit faster because, again, it's just kind of a reiteration of what we saw earlier, just a slightly different comp. One thing I want to point out while we were watching this, obviously, guys, I talked earlier about how turn order is so important. When I first started setting this team up and I wasn't hard focused on turn and modding and all that stuff, I just kind of put whatever I had on them. And I had Wrecker going after Hunter. It's amazing the difference that makes, to be clear. When you get Wrecker up, and I can't stress this enough, guys, when you're trying to create this team, even if you're just kind of putting random mods on them, you're not really hard focusing on them yet, you still absolutely should focus on getting that turn order correct, even if they aren't the ideal mods, because it's just a game changer when you are able to get all of that to work. And you can see, again, we got a perfect 65 banners on that. So those were our two AdRad teams, guys. Our last match that we have here is arguably the biggest punch up that you'll have. Grievous obviously is another team that you can use Bad Batch against. You can win pretty easily. But this is, I think, the most dangerous, most difficult team to take, and that is the Qui-Gon Jinn-led team with Anakin. Now, one of the reasons this team is more difficult is A, because of the speed. B, there are fewer buffs on this team than, for instance, against AdRad. And even Grievous tends to have more buffs as well. But the bigger thing, as you guys will know in GAC, is that Anakin is going to come out and absolutely nuke you if you're not careful when you take out Qui-Gon. This single-handedly is the most important reason that you need to have your Wrecker go before Hunter. When it was flip-flop for me, I would lose this match. Probably, I would venture 50% of the time. It was only a 50-50 shot for us. Since we have gotten that turn meter switched and done correctly, right now we have a 100% win rate. And that is, again, remember guys, this is gear 12 or lower. Bad Batch against an all Relic 7. I want to point out this entire team was Relic 7 with some really impressive modding too. Their Anakin, their Qui-Gon, their Cam, all very, very fast. Look at the turn meter order that they have here, guys. And remember, my Echo, 363. 363. So this is a very, very, very fast trio of characters here. Let's go ahead and let it run a little bit. Again, you'll see that we removed their Foresight, put Daze on all of them. We're going to then put up the stun out. We did get lucky. I want to point out, we did get really lucky here because sometimes you can miss with Anakin and then you have trouble. We did land all of the stuns on them. Now, what really works out great here is usually your Wrecker is not going to go before the Anakin will. It's possible, but it's not likely. And the reason it's important that you have a little bit of that gap in there in terms of speed, guys, is because of what we just saw there. So they got stunned, they lost that turn essentially, and now the next person to go is Wrecker. Wrecker is going to come back in, he's going to stun them again, and again, luckily it lands on Anakin, which means we're in good shape. Now we do have Mace here, and Mace is a bit of a problem in this situation, but this is why flipping your meter over, flipping your turn over to Echo is so important. Because you're able to still do that AoE, still able to take out Qui-Gon, even if you're stuck behind that taunt. And the important thing to remember here, guys, is Wrecker has a 2-turn stun. So even though we have destroyed Qui-Gon here, and Anakin got his bonus turn, he's still stunned on that second turn, so he's still not able to get that AoE off. We let it keep running. They're basically done. They just can't gain turn meter. We're constantly flipping the turn meter, constantly gaining the turn meter. And we slowly take them out. Now you'll notice Anakin did get off in this instance because again, this is a very fast Anakin. He was able to get a turn and he was able to get off his AoE, but we've removed all of those buffs from him. So at this point, he doesn't have anything bonus other than just what he got from the Qui-Gon Omicron. We eat the hit here. It does hurt. Don't get me wrong. It hurt. My Echo almost bit the dust, which is pretty impressive because remember, my Echo is Relic 3. The rest of them are all lower. So that's pretty impressive. But because of that defense up, a lot of times because of the crit avoidance, you're able to survive, or not crit avoidance, sorry, avoidance, you're able to survive even if he does get that AoE off. Notice the AoE was gotten off with no buffs versus now, if he was getting that AoE off with the offense up, yeah, we would not have survived. So we're going to go ahead and let this keep running here, folks. You'll see, again, we want to hard focus Anakin as much as possible because, again, if somebody else were to drop down below, now luckily they were already down below 50%, but if somebody else were to drop down below 50%, he would get another bonus turn, and he would probably wreck somebody. It wouldn't be an entire team necessarily, but he would wreck somebody. As you can see, this is a 62 banner win here. Again, against a lesser relic, a lesser well-modded team, we would probably get a full 65 on this. You can see, though, again, this was an all Relic 7, really well-modded, really fast team. This, I honestly, you guys can't see my reaction to this in the actual live video, but I'm going bananas here because we had no business beating this team, but we did because of how amazing that turn meter and the comp is and the kit and everything else that's in there. It's just such a good, amazing quality team. All right, with that being said, of everybody, hopefully you guys liked what you guys saw today. If you did, I'd appreciate if you guys like, subscribe, and turn on notifications. Last but not least, if you want to continue learning more about how teams work and check out the tactics, make sure you guys check out the next video.